Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that hair is
We're
any
up.
good.
We're up again. And we're actually, we're right on time. We're doing really good. First of all, I'd like to say I hope all of you had a very Merry Christmas. Secondly, there's still time if you have a heartwarming story about a pet that you rescued or someone else to submit it, to send it to us in an email at thestillreport@gmail.com. That's thestillreport@gmail.com. And first off, we just today discovered that Brigitte,
Brigitte.
Brigitte Bardot has passed away at the age of 91. Most of you who are young probably really don't know who she was. She was a French actress who was, I don't know, I always think of her as a pinup girl. That's
She
probably
was a
not.
blonde bombshell type,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't think she ever appeared in an English speaking movie. So,
Yeah. Oh, right. But she was a big animal rights activist and she had an animal rights foundation. She was very concerned about the welfare of and had some beloved pets of her own, but she actually worked very hard to in animal rights. And at 91, we were sorry to see her. I always liked her name. I didn't know a whole lot about her, but I liked her name. And over the weekend, I guess, President Trump, in President Trump fashion, bombed the heck out of a bunch of ISIS strongholds who were responsible for the slaughtering of thousands of Christians in Nigeria. And I am happy to see him taking up that cause. Jay,
yeah.
Jay Sekulow, etc., have been crying about that for a very long time. And of course, Biden did nothing about it. It didn't address it, didn't do anything. And so I'm just happy to see that they're not just being threatened, they're being wiped off the face of the earth. So thank you for that, President Trump. And I found this to be interesting. You know, I don't really like polls. I'm not a big poll person because they're always skewed in one way or another. And I think this one is skewed as well. But there was a recent Gallup poll out about the approval ratings of the Senate leadership. Not all of the members of Congress or whatever, but the Senate leadership. You know, John Thune, Chuck Schumer, and Chuck Schumer's approval rating is the lowest it has ever been. His approval rating is 28%. And that proves that these polls are wrong because there's no way that man has a 28% approval rating. But the
Democrats will vote for anybody, you know?
that's true. John Thune's approval rating was 34%. So, you know, he's a little better. But it was interesting to me that the most approved of, I guess, politician, if you will, in President Trump's world was Marco Rubio,
Hmm.
which is not surprising now because I think he's doing a great job as Secretary of
Yeah.
State. But I think if you had asked me a year ago what I probably wouldn't have been so impressive with him, you know. Um, and we keep talking about the fraud, the Somalia fraud in Minnesota and other places, and several people who were charged. Already the judges have dismissed these cases against them, so it's really difficult to get any kind of justice.
Yeah, but the FBI is moving in on those big time.
They are, and not all judges are going to dismiss the cases. I mean, some people are going to go to jail for this, and also they are trying to denaturalize them and deport some of them. The Somalians, it might be easier to deport them than to have the court cases,
and they upped the deportation fee that they can
right.
collect, and from 1,000 to 3,000 bucks to leave the country.
That's right. If you
That's getting pretty close to where.
Well, it's like we said in our last thing. Hey, you know, illegal immigrants, this is a Christmas gift. You're not going to get a better gift than this. $3,000 to self deport, you know, can go a long way. And I would encourage them to do that because otherwise it's just going to go worse for them. You know,
Hmm.
that's what we
I
said.
wonder if they have to pay airfare as
No,
it is.
that's what the money is for airfare. And yeah, yeah. And however, we can't get away from all of this because in a shocking, I guess it shouldn't be shocking, Somalia will be made the president of the UN Security Council. And some of us have taken up the mantra of Pastor Hagee, which is get the U.S. out of the UN, get the UN out of the U.S. And I think I have been chanting that, tweeting that, and posting that for 20 years at least. The UN just...
You were only 15?
Yeah, I was a very precocious child. I was very, very precocious. So I became curious about what I've heard these terms. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the UN because I don't like it. But what the Security Council in the UN is responsible for is basically charged with ensuring international peace and security.
Huh.
And we're sitting there going, really? A country that is fraught with not that is charged with that for the world. The powers are outlined in the UN Charter include authorizing military action, establishing peacekeeping operations, recommending the admission of new members to the UN General Assembly. Okay, and approving any changes to the charter, enacting international sanctions, etc. That's what the Somalia is going to be responsible for doing.
Well, they're going to have a big influx of those who are leaving Minnesota. So yeah, they have to have something else to do. And the UN probably pays a heck of a lot more than even the thievery going on in Somalia.
And
going on in Minnesota.
Yeah. By the Somalian. It's just, of course, and naturally it makes sense. This is the globalists are really trying every which way they can. You said it this morning, to ruin America. All of this is aimed to America. I'm just telling you, military action, peacekeeping, they're going to find some reason to, anywho, and yet I don't want to forget to mention good news that we have going on in the world, and that is Puerto Rico has just enacted a law that says that a baby in the womb is a person. It has person status from the moment of conception. So a baby in the womb has person status as person, which is what some of us on the Right to Life side have been crying out for a long time. These are people. They are people from conception. They are. And to give that protection to a baby in the womb is really important and vital. And, I know it's just Puerto Rico, but this is what has to happen all over the world, because a baby in the womb is a person, and that gives them the protection of personhood. It's just like in our country, we have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Life. We have the right to life, which is what babies should have, the right to live. And this is what finally in Puerto Rico they're doing. So are there any comments that you want to bring out to the...
Oh, no, I have a comment myself. I wrote on my hand, which I frequently do, especially if it's a name that I know I'm about to forget. But in any case, really strange story yesterday where China came out urging Russia not to use nuclear weapons.
Why?
I don't know. That's the question. Audience, please tell me what this is all about. I mean, does China know that, for example, if Ukraine, they can't get them underfoot, then they're willing to use tactical nukes or something like that. I can't believe that's true. But why would China stick their neck out like that and, criticize Russia? Wow. I mean, that's really a very strange story.
That is very interesting. You do wonder why.
Yeah, I forgot to look it up before. I was just thinking about it when you were talking. And
well, I wonder if it's because China thinks if Russia uses nuclear weapons that we will retaliate.
Yeah, but you would think that they would like that. There are three major powers, let's face it, and if two of them fight each other, then that's good for China. So I don't know. Anybody have any ideas out there?
Well, I don't actually. I have no ideas. I just know that the Iranian president has announced that they are essentially at war with the United States. Why did he have to announce that? I have no idea, because they've been at war with the United States since I can remember.
Oh, well, it's because there's another story that, let's see, who was it? Russia has announced that it is going to help Iran launch satellites.
Yeah, right. For the purpose of?
Well, probably spy satellites, intelligence satellites, but so.
Right. So I just found it kind of comical that he would say we're at war with the United States. When have you not been? When have you not been fighting us on some level? When have you not been doing that? And I'm on another, speaking of fighting and wars and other countries being involved, I'm also very interested to see what is going to come out of all of this revelation we had about the 2020 elections from Georgia, because it has to go somewhere. It can't just be the Senate has said, yes, there was corruption, etc. Something has to happen from that. They can't just make statements and then just say, oh, well, sorry, it's over.
I mean, the whole 2020 election has just completely fallen apart in all these states. And Trump doesn't even, pretend that it didn't happen, or it's not even a maybe. He knows for sure. He has the information, and that information is going to work its way out into the public at some point, and probably our children are going to be sitting talking to their children, and their children are going to say, oh, Mom, yeah, did you know the 2020 election was stolen? And they're going to go, what?
Well,
Biden wouldn't do that.
Well, yes. And I do think, and I don't know if he'll do it, but I think Rudy Giuliani ought to sue.
Rudy Giuliani's in a tight place. He is. They're trying to jail him for life, and he really doesn't have the money to fight it.
Who are they still trying to put him in jail?
Yeah, his biggest trial so far comes up the first week in January or the second week.
Why? I did not know that.
Just stick
with you.
I don't even have to read or hear anything. I just comes in from the cosmos.
I just thought all of that stuff had ended. I thought all of this. Well, no. I still think he should sue. John Rich posted a Twitter thing that said that in his opinion, 90% of all the members of Congress are corrupt in one way or another. And General Flynn reposted it with his own note that said, I think it's more like 99%. And I said, that's one reason why Pam Bondi just recently did an interview with Just the News. Where she said she has told the prosecutors to investigate all of this, Obama era weaponization of the government and spying on Trump and this, and I'm thinking, what? Wait, you're a little late to the game, aren't you? And telling Just News that you just told prosecutors to investigate this stuff. There's
another great story, and it just came across maybe. I woke up at 4 a.m. So sometime between 5 and 7,
Yeah.
that President Trump put out a tweet to Pam Bondi. Just find it.
Oh yeah,
It's so explosive.
it's been
And he
floating.
just
Yeah.
smashes her.
That's been floating around for a long time. Actually, that came out months ago, that tweet, and it's like we're still just now hearing. I don't know what's going on in there, but it looks like somebody has a question.
Who did the China-Russia story? I do not know, but that stuff is easy to find now.
Well,
I'll try to wrangle it up for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, if you had mentioned it to me earlier, I might have been able to look it up, but I didn't.
Well, you're great at looking stuff up. So.
Doesn't. Yeah, it is interesting how you can look stuff up so quickly today, in opposed to going to the library, etc. But I don't want to fail to mention other good things. I'm happy to see this. This story made me excited because this is something I have been personally talking about for years and years and years. And finally, we have an HHS secretary in RFKJ that is doing things and doing good things and helping us be healthier. And I love to see the names of the people that he's appointed to these different positions, like Bhattacharya and, Dr. And the proper title is Commissioner. Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary is in charge of the FDA now. And one of the things that they are finally doing, finally, thank you, is rewriting the food pyramid, because we grew up with the food pyramid that's basically upside down. I mean, literally, you could flip the thing almost upside down. And when you find out, of course, in research and other places, that the food pyramid came about because a lobbyist in Congress, the wheat lobbyist and all these people lobbying, we need this, so they just created this food pyramid that has absolutely no basis in fact or science. It's just, and so they tell you have 3 servings of this and 5 servings of that. And finally, they are finally addressing the fact that fat is not bad. Butter is not bad for you. Fat is actually good for you. And they come against all this fat forever, and everybody's so afraid to eat. And then they go to low fat. Low fat foods are actually bad for you. Okay? It's just like artificial sweeteners are bad for you. They tell you this and this. So finally, we have somebody with some common sense who's not looking at the political lobbyists who are coming, with all these members of Congress and paying them all this money. And we're going to maybe have a true pyramid that people can actually, we've been alive long enough, and I'm just going to say this, and I don't like to, say negative things about other people or whatever, but Americans are getting heavier and heavier and heavier. I mean, when I look at pictures from the 60s in particular, people were fit. And one of the reasons is because that stupid food pyramid and the attack on fat and the attack on all these other foods that are not bad for you. And now we fast forward and we look at this thing, and I'm sorry, but Americans are getting heavier, and diabetes is on the rise, and heart issues are on the rise. And for the first time, I think, in ever that I've known about, the life expectancy of Americans has actually gone down. So this is a good thing. And can you read? I can't read the comments if there are any good comments.
One. Let's see. Warrior 2382 asked, why won't Trump reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act? And I have to admit, that is the one thing I have never read an article on. I don't know exactly what it is. Do you know anything about it?
No.
Okay, if Mr. Smith or Mr. Mudd is in the audience, can you please enlighten us on this? It must be really bad, because I've heard it a lot of times over the course of my life, but I've just never said, boy, I've got to find out what that is.
Well, we'll be happy to look into that and tune in tomorrow. So we'll have an answer for you on that.
And speaking of which, another really cool thing I saw, I don't know how many chess lovers are in this world, but somebody put up an interview that Johnny Carson did with Bobby Fischer. And first of all, Fisher looks like he's twice the size of Johnny Carson. I didn't realize he was so big, but just to have him, just the stuff he said was just really cool. It's really worth your 15, 18 minutes to watch if you see it online.
Oh, okay. Speaking of online, if you would subscribe, like, and share, and we will see you tomorrow with news at Noonish, and we will look up all
Smith Mund. We're going to know about that.
and also what's going on with Russia, nuclear, China, whatever.
Yeah.
And anything else. And don't forget, please, it's until the end of the year, we will read your story on our show if you have a heartwarming story about a pet that you rescued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? See you then. Okay. Bye. God bless President Trump. God bless the United States of America. God bless all of you. And we pray for Brigitte Bardot's family. Amen. Thank you. Bye.